Guys, my goodness, oh my gosh. We've seen great positivity, great awesome things so far this month, and the channel's really growing, and it's so exciting for me, and I can only continue as a plea and as an extra Christmas present to try and get us to over 900 subscribers by Christmas, because that'd be so cool. That'd be so amazing. And also, we've got another 5 fancast suggestions here, and I'm just going to read these out, and you guys go ahead and down in the comments right now while you're still watching the video. Go right ahead down in those comments and look at the pinned comment, and you vote for which one of these you want to see next as the Sunday fancast. Okay. So we've got Klaus again. It keeps getting votes, so I keep putting it in. Never quite wins. We'll see if it does this time. Die Hard. Elf. It's a Wonderful Life. And the Santa Claus. So you let me know which one of those you want to see next. You have picked fun, excellent fancasts so far, and I will just get right on it, okay? Today we're right in. Check this out. It's Arthur Christmas. Did the 1 minute review the other day. If you want to hear me talk about the film in general, you go ahead and you check out the 1 minute review also on the channel. But we're jumping right in. Arthur Claus. Yeah, I always want to say Arthur Christmas because it's the bloody title of the film, but his name is Arthur Claus. And there's something I want to say before anyone speaks here, before anyone goes down commenting there. I know that a lot of you probably automatically jump to the idea of, like, Tom Holland as Arthur Claus, you know? And everybody does. He's the A-list guy around that age. Frankly, for me, though he's done it before, Arthur is this beat-a-meal lead character, okay? He's got this beat-a-meal lead energy, you know, he's very unassuming, very gentle character. Tom Holland could play that. But for me, something about the number of big blockbuster actiony films, different roles he's done now, he's kind of lost some of that unassuming lead. He feels more like a blockbuster alpha star, right? To me, I want to cast Asa Butterfield, because Asa Butterfield has got that. And it's not a mean thing to say, I hope. The beat-a-meal lead energy, you know, the unassuming role. The unassuming lead guy, that kind, unassuming lead. He's still very much got that in Sex Education after 2 seasons. And through all the stuff they've been through in that show, him still having that, it just made me go like, wow, that's incredible that his characters managed to retain that sense of, like, innocence about him almost, you know, and that's very much, Arthur is a very innocent character, you know. This is a learning experience for him, the whole journey through this film. By the end of it, he almost does, like, break down in the third act, because he's seen the world and he's seen what the other people in his family are really acting like, and it just frustrates the hell out of him, because he can't believe it, because he's so innocent. Next, Brioni, I'm bad at saying that name, Brioni Shelfley. It was, you know, okay, this is a simple case, this one, okay? She's a gift-wrapping elf, she's a very fun gift-wrapping character, you know, I really like her character, I think she's a really nice character to have along with them on the journey. She's a great sidekick kind of for Arthur, but she's so good, you know, she does so much of the work. She's like shooting, rapping at the people chasing them, and she's like doing so much of the work, so much of the effort. It's such a fun character, I really enjoyed her, and I have to say, I looked it up, and I kind of, in my head, I was like, it was probably Kelly MacDonald that played her, right? It's such a Scottish accent, such a Scottish strong female accent. It made me really think like, wow, that's gotta have been Kelly MacDonald. It wasn't. It was Ashley Jensen, who I recognized her voice, not because it was Kelly MacDonald, but because I recently watched her in Nativity, so when I watched Arthur Christmas again recently, I recognized the voice and I thought it must be Kelly MacDonald, because what other Scottish actresses have that kind of accent? That level of Scottish accent? So basically, I'm casting Kelly MacDonald, in case you didn't realise. Yeah, it's one of those things where I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to cast Ashley Jensen again, then I should probably just cast Kelly MacDonald, because she absolutely could do that role. And yeah, in terms of like CGI and stuff, I'm not sure how much, you know, they would actually need her. They would use her. They would use her, and she'd have to do the motion capture work for it or whatever, you know. But I think she's fully capable of it, you know. Kelly MacDonald's great. Next, Grand Santa is the other member of the trio that goes out to try and deliver that one single present that's been left behind to Gwen, you know, and he's a tough character to cast, you know. It was such a good job Bill Nighy did of him, and Bill Nighy could play him again, you know, there's no doubt about this. If I didn't mention already, I am casting this entirely British. It was pretty much all a British cast in the original. They had a few other extra bits and stuff, and there were a couple of people cameoing and different things, but all the main characters were played by British people, so I'm going to stick with that pretty much. So, anyway, Grand Santa, yes, he's meant to be like 137. He's actually got to be older than that. That's a point I don't want to have to make like I did in the Woman Review, but frankly, you know, he was Santa for 70 years. He did 70 missions, and then his son has now done 70 missions, and he says he's 134? It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. Simple minute maths. God. Anyway, I want John Cleese to play Grand Santa, because John Cleese, even when he was a lot younger than he currently is, he was doing Monty Python sketches where he was playing these old crotchety guys, and he was so good at it, you know. He was so good at all those kinds of roles, you know. And I think it'll be a very different kind of Grand Santa he'd play, you know, to Bill Nye, but I think it'll be a just equally hilarious one, you know. He'd pull out some really funny stuff. He is old now, like, he is old. He's like 80, you know. But I basically think, yeah, a little bit of extra makeup there, make sure he looks older than Malcolm, because Malcolm is meant to be like, he's got to be like 100, like, right? You know, what age did he take over being Santa? He's done 70, it doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about the timeline of Arthur Christmas and how much it frustrates me. But John Cleese, be great. Grand Santa. Yep, next. Peter, then, is the, I mean, as much as there's an actual villain in the film, I guess, it's, you know, you'd think of it as being Steve. But Steve, you know, is he really, like, vindictively acting most of the film? Not really. He just doesn't get Christmas. I think Peter's the only one in the film who actually acts out vindictively. He's this dickhead little elf who's just making espressos for Steve, but like plotting around him like he's some like proper sidekick. He's not even that. He's not even that. But I thought it'd be fun to have somebody like Ewen Ryan. That's not how you actually pronounce his name. I can't pronounce it. Ewen Ryan. Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. He's, you know, that's exactly the kind of snivelling, evil villain who is kind of like a scaredy cat at the same time that you probably want for this role for Peter, you know, because he never actually steps up to anyone or like talks back really, except like to Arthur, because he considers Arthur no threat or anything at all. And then at the end, comeuppance, except he doesn't really get comeuppance, does he? No, it's just kind of like, I wonder if Arthur likes espresso, and that's like his last line in the film. It's like, oh, whatever. Next. Now, Gwen Hines is this little girl that they have to deliver the present to. And you see her several times throughout. You know, she's not that huge or important role, but she's kind of the crux of the story, such as it is. So I was kind of like, well, I'll go ahead and cast her anyway. Basically, I'm just going to cast Pixie Davies, because she was in Mary Poppins Returns, and she was delightful in that, and she's still young enough to play similar delightful little girl character. And Gwen is a delightful little girl character that you're meant to feel like, oh my god, I can't believe that she's the one they're going to miss Christmas for. There's so many shitty kids around the world. Like, why are they going to miss Christmas for this one? She's so nice. And that's basically what you got to think throughout. Next. So Malcolm is the current Santa Claus, and he is basically, he was Jim Broadbent, who's, you know, also delightful older British guy. You know, he's such a happy kind of lapsed, like, just like going around dreamland, happy to be loved by everybody. You know, he just wants to be loved, guys, and that's so sweet. But at the same time, he is incredibly incompetent. He's just falling asleep on the mission, and you're kind of like angry at him as this, like, he's being like selfish, hanging on to the role of Santa Claus. But in another way, you feel like maybe he was right for doing so, because, you know, Steve was not ready to take over, and he was the heir apparent at the time. So maybe it was for the best that he didn't, you know, immediately. But I kind of thought it'd be fun to have somebody like Michael Gambon play him. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, I don't. You probably don't realise. But Michael Gambon was actually born in Ireland, not the UK. But he is an English-Irish actor, so I was kind of like, I'll let myself get away with that one. Plus, I mean, let's face it, you know, as far as like delightful old men go, he's Dumbledore. Well, not exactly Dumbledore, or Dumbledore, but, you know, Michael Gambon was okay as Dumbledore, and he was, you know, and if you need like a little bit of like him getting angry or whatever, or being a little bit kooky, then I mean, you know, that's the kind of thing Michael Gambon can bring to the table. So that'll be great, you know. And I realise he's 1 year younger than John Cleese, but I mean, they're both of these guys have to be like over 100 if you actually want to talk about proper timelines in the Arthur Christmas film. So I don't care, you know, different layers of makeup, alright, next. And then his wife, that's right, you know what, even, you know, goddamn, Imelda Staunton did a great job of this in the first film. I would really like to see, though, Julie Walters play Mrs. Claus, Margaret, I think her name is, Margaret Claus. She gets, you know, plus, whoa, 1 second, Dumbledore, Mrs. Weasley, dream team, but also, I just wouldn't rather have anybody in that kind of like business-like, but also like really kind, loving, nurturing role. You know, I think she manages all those things so well as Mrs. Weasley in all those bloody Harry Potter films. I think she do it so well here. Plus, like, I mean, you want to talk about like the Mamma Mia films, she is also like kooky if she needs to, you know, be a little kooky. She can be a little kooky, you know, when you're down and below. The pretty birds have flown, and I am still free. Protections on me. that's an aside. Anyway, what am I doing? So I think she'd be great at that because Julie Walters is delightful, you know, and I think we're seeing this kind of brand of like stronger Mrs. Claus characters recently, this kind of one in Arthur Christmas, and then like Goldie Hawn, the Christmas Chronicles too. And I think it's important that we kind of show someone off who is a bit more like, hi, oi, give me some fucking credit at some point, you know. Generally, she's very demure and she's very happy to just be in the background, even though she's doing so much great work, you know. But at some point, I think Julie Walters would be good as the person who like steps up and goes, nah, fuck this, I'm Santa, you know, or something like that. Next. And finally, you need Stephen Claus. Steve. Yeah, he is, I mean, not really a villain. You don't like him. Nobody likes Steve, but he's not like a full-on villain. You've got to balance that carefully. It can be quite tricky. It's quite a tricky role to play. Also, not gonna lie, you actually think through older British actors. None of them were like, nobody that I thought was like jacked enough. Steve is fucking jacked, guys. He's meant to be like, you know, he's got grey hair and stuff. He's kind of Silver Fox character, but like, I don't know what age he's meant to be. Is he 30? Is he 60? I don't know. But in my mind, the only person I could think of who was jacked enough to play this was Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, super jacked. Henry Cavill looks good in grey, as we know from The Witcher. Henry Cavill, English, good. Henry Cavill, good at playing these kind of ambiguous hero-villain roles, okay? Yeah, he's played these kind of snooty villain roles in things like Stardust. Very good in that. I always forget he was in that, but he was. He's played that kind of like fancier role in like something like, you know, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., right? The Mission Impossible film he's in, absolutely. And he's kind of this greyish character a lot of the time as Geralt in The Witcher that kind of made me think, you know what, Henry Cavill would be goddamn good as Steve. And Henry Cavill is someone who you can't hate in one way, you know. So that's kind of what you need for Steve, because you're not meant to hate Steve, I don't think. He's this foil to Arthur as opposed to a villain, you know. So I think you're meant to like Steve, like the mean-spirited character in a sitcom or something like that, you know. You're meant to like him, but you are meant to be like, oh, Steve, you gotta wise up, mate, you know. Yeah, Henry Cavill is Steve. Yeah. That's all for this one, guys. I love fan casting, in case you hadn't realised. Let me know which of those you do want next down below, and you know what, if you subscribe, you know, if you guys all subscribe and I get over like even 900, but if I got over 1,000 by like the end of the year, I'll probably cry and a fan cast video at some stage, yeah.